Hey guys, Pete here with Crunch Time Coaching, and really excited for today's live broadcast. Just saw that Novak and Andre Agassi are going to be teaming up, which I think is super exciting. I think it's a great move. I want a lot of interaction on this video. I want you guys to really let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that this is a great idea? Is this going to work for Novak? Is this going to turn everything around? We know that Novak is struggling. He has been letting us know that he has been struggling. He's fired his coaches. He's got a new spiritual coach. Well, I guess the guy's been around for a while, but it's the only one guy traveling right now is Pepe, I think, who is like a spiritual coach, but he played on the tour. He knows his tennis. But obviously, Novak feels that he is desperately looking for answers and trying to find the new recipe for what's going to work in this new phase of his career, to where he struggled for so long to get to the top. Then when he got to the top, he became one of the best players of all time, won 12 majors in a very short amount of time, and now he is struggling. And he just lost. Things were looking good, and then the new young gun, Zverev, took it to him in the finals. So, he is far from being dominant, but then it just takes a little bit sometimes to turn things around. So in this broadcast, what I want to do is go through my top 7 reasons why I think that this is a great move, why I think that this is going to work for Novak. I think Andre, I got to give him a lot of credit. I think that he is the perfect match. I don't think Novak could do any better. I want you guys to comment and let me know what you think, if this is a good idea, but I think this is a brilliant move by Novak Djokovic. I think they're going to fit together really well, and if anybody can turn it around for Novak, if it is another person who can help him, of course, it has to come from within. But if another person can really help him, I can't picture anybody out there making a bigger impact than Andre. So my number 1 reason, we're going to go through 7 reasons, and I want you guys to let me know what you think. Feel free to comment. Feel free to disagree or add more reasons. But number 1 is they both struggled in the beginning to reach their potential. If you remember when Andre came out, he had all kinds of talent. He was all flash. He even had a video, a commercial from Canon, which he said he later regretted. He hated that commercial, where it was image is everything, meaning that image was way more important than winning, is how it came off. And he did it when he was a young kid, and he regretted that he ever did that commercial, because he didn't want the people to think that that's what it was about. Of course, it takes a lot of hard work to get to the top. But he was losing, to people he shouldn't lose to. And he'd get to Grand Slam finals occasionally, and he would lose. And eventually he was able to turn it around. I think you have to give a lot of credit to Brad Gilbert and a little bit of growing up. And then Andre started to finally reach his potential. But it took him a while, probably till mid to late 20s. You could argue that it took Andre to really play the type of tennis that everybody expected him to. Novak came out very early and got to the finals when he was young, against Roger Federer at the U.S. Open, and looked like he should have won that match against Roger Federer. And when I was watching that match, I was thinking, man, this guy is going to be number 1 pretty soon if he can take it to Roger like this. Roger basically won that match just based off of experience. And then for years, Novak always, I think he, was more solid than Andre in a lot of ways as far as consistent performances, but he was just stuck at number 3 for a long time. And he didn't truly believe that he could beat Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, and even had people making fun. Remember how Andy Roddick made fun of how he would call the trainer because he would often get sick on the court, looked like he was struggling to breathe, and people were questioning his toughness. Even Roger Federer questioned his toughness. And then he changed his diet. He went gluten-free. He got very extreme with a lot of rituals, and that's when he really reached his potential to be the best player that he could be, became number one, and he started to truly dominate the tour. He was awesome. So that's my reason number one, is they both can identify that it didn't come easy for either of them. They came out, they both had a lot of potential, but it didn't come easy for either of them. Number two is they did both reach the top. They both know what it's like. It's not easy to find. The greatest players of all time are just not out there to cherry pick off a tree. That, they have their own busy life. They're in demand. It's not easy for them to just, find a coach who can be one of the greatest players of all time. So, but when you're one of the greatest players of all time, it becomes a lot more doable. So it's kind of cool that Novak can reach into his back pocket and pull out an Andre Agassi, a living legend. He transcended sports to where he was a celebrity. And so I think that's cool that they both know what it's like to be a celebrity. They both know what it's like to be one of the greatest players of all time. And this is going to be something that's going to be very cool for Novak to be able to have in his corner. Number three is they're both often compared for many reasons. For what we talked about, they've struggled to reach the top quickly. They are celebrities, and they have a very similar game. You could argue both of them have the greatest return of all time. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember how great Andre Agassi's return was, and McEnroe, who always loves to talk about who are the greatest returners, he first said Connors. Then when Agassi came out, he said, no, now Agassi is the greatest returner of all time. And then when Novak Djokovic came out, McEnroe said that, no, Djokovic is better than both those guys on the return. That's the best return I've ever seen. And I think the thing, though, about Andre's return that could maybe really help Novak is Novak's one of those guys who can get back anything. Like, he just becomes a wall on the return and just puts so much pressure on you that he keeps getting the return back deep. Andre could take the ball and you could serve the ball hard at him and he would just crush it back for a winner. I mean, he would just an unbelievable offensive return. So if Andre could give him little tips on how to maybe get a little more firepower, if he could add the consistency, but also the firepower on the return, that would be pretty darn awesome. So look for that. I think that could be a huge advantage. They don't win a ton of points on their serve. They win them off the ground strokes. They can control the court with their ground strokes. So many similarities. So Andre's going to really know that. I think that was maybe the one weakness that Becker had, is Becker couldn't really, they had completely different games. It's kind of interesting that he went from Becker to Andre, because when they both played, if you read Andre's book, Open, and you can let me know I'm wrong here, guys, I think maybe they've kind of, patched things up, but they didn't like each other. At least from the book, it didn't seem like Andre liked Becker very much. And so it's kind of interesting that he went from Becker to Andre. All right. Novak has this. We're on reason number 4 now. Novak has a tremendous amount of respect for Andre. He identifies with his game. He grew up watching him play. He was, he modeled his game after him. I saw an interview just the other day where Novak said that he really respects Andre. He modeled his game after him. He was one of his favorites growing up. So that's got to be pretty cool and also extremely important. Again, when you're at the top of your game and you're one of the greatest players of all time, the list of people that you can hire as your coach and you have ultimate respect for and trust in, that's got to be hard, because it's hard to go to a good coach, even like Paul Annacone. And I'm not knocking Paul Annacone. He's deserved the right to get a lot of respect. He's coached Federer, he's coached Sampras, but there's still that gap to where when a coach is telling you something, and I don't think you have to be a great player to be a great coach. But if you are the greatest, one of the greatest of all time, and then somebody who's never even come close to sniffing a Grand Slam tells you something and you disagree with it and you've held the trophy, I would think that's got to be hard to listen to sometimes. You're like, look, I mean, on your best day, I'd beat you 6-0, 6-0. So you obviously don't know how to beat me. So, if I don't agree with you on this, I'm just not going to listen to you. I would think that would be a big stumbling block at some point, especially when things aren't going well. And you have a little bit of doubt, like, is this the person to really take me to the promised land? They were not that great a player, where Andre, one of the best of all time, and they had a very similar game. So Novak's got a lot of respect for Andre. I think that's super important and is going to help Novak. All right, next is they both kind of have, we're on reason number 5 now. They both kind of have this kind of guru thing where they're looking for like the meaning of life, and they're like these peaceful creatures, and it has to be bigger than tennis for them. They both have always searched for that. So they've both been kind of on the spiritual journey, I think. You would agree with me on that. So they both have that in common, but they're also both ruthless competitors, right? I mean, and the thing that is interesting too, as I'm talking, on the return of serve and the focus and the root, you can see the fire and the focus in their eyes on the return. Remember Andre, when he'd finally get locked in, how his eyes would get on the return of serve? And Novak's got that same thing. Novak does this thing where he's like open his eyes like that. And sorry to creep you guys out, but it's kind of cool to where, they both would lock in. You could see them locked in. So they're both fierce competitors, but at the same time, I think struggled with maybe like the brutal mindset you have to be a champion. And I think that Novak is struggling to find that. So I think Andre can be the person to give him that healthy mix about himself spiritually, but also how to be a fierce competitor, how to really go after somebody, how to hit them in the guts, that kind of thing. And so I think that is going to be really, really cool to watch that develop. How are we going to notice a different mindset from Novak? Are we going to see the fire come back that's been missing? I think Andre can really help him with that. All right, reason number 6 is over his career. Now, Andre didn't start out as this, but over his career, Andre was a brilliant tactician. Andre started to really study how to pick people's game apart. He loves to analyze tennis matches and look at weaknesses and really just beat down the weakness. And he really got that from Brad Gilbert. You got to give Brad Gilbert, who wrote Winning Ugly, you got to give him a lot of credit for that. And what Brad would do is he would go out and scout and really let Andre know, okay, this is how we're going to play this guy. This is how we're going to play that guy. So Andre, of course, played his brand of tennis, but always had Brad always gave him a blueprint for how you play this person, how you pick them apart. And so Andre got really, really good at that, to where eventually he didn't need Brad to do that for him anymore. But Brad really helped him with that. And I think, again, now that Novak has all these new challenges with Rafa playing great again and Roger back playing great, 2 players he struggled against before he started to really control those 2 players. And then you have the new young guns like Kyrgios and Zverev. So there's new challenges out there, and they all bring their unique challenges to him. Like Kyrgios playing Novak hitting 120-mile-an-hour second serve. These are things that Novak has got to figure out. Well, how do I play with this even new brand of tennis that's coming at me lately? So there isn't this guarantee of him always getting to the finals anymore. So there's new challenges out there, and I think Andre's going to help him really pick these games apart and go out there with more winning game plan. And finally, they both respond well to discipline, very hard work. That's when they play their best tennis. In the beginning, Andre didn't really have a diet, I understand, and he relied. I don't want to mistake this. When you get to the Pro Tour, you work hard. There's no way anybody just gets there on pure talent. But Andre did rely a lot on his skills and his talent, his unique talent that he had. But towards the end, he embraced the journey. Gil Reyes really, had Andre embrace hard work. And I remember seeing one interview with Andre talking about, maybe it was in his book Open, how he ran on New Year's when everybody's at a party kissing and hugging. Andre was out in the street running to prepare for the Australian Open so that he could go out there and crush people in 120 degree weather. And we know that Novak, what got him over the hump was extreme discipline and hard work. Novak's a pretty, looks like a fun-loving guy, but when he gets in the zone, he watches everything he eats. He stretches for a long time. He gets himself in top shape. I've heard he does even things so extreme where he'll eat in the dark and he'll focus on his food. He gets in oxygen chambers. He's willing to go extreme. And I think he needs to get that back. And Andre can maybe be the guy to show him this is how you have a family and you give time to your family, which I think Novak is struggling with, but also make sure that you are as prepared as you can be. Because I think for Novak to get back to the top, he's got to get that eye of the tiger back. He's got to get that extreme hard work. I think that's what ultimately has him believe that he is better than the best, that he's better than the best, guys, is he can look across the net, which is incredible to do when you think about it. But he can look across the net from Rafael and Nadal and go, I work harder than you. I'm faster than you. I'm more fit than you. That's an impossible task almost. But when Novak was at his best, one thing that always amazed me, they would have these long, brutal rallies, and Novak would get to one more ball than Rafa. Novak would recover quicker for the next point. And he would also be able to hit more winners than Rafa when he was in his prime. And that's hard to do because look how ridiculously good Rafa is at all those things. So, for him to get back to the top, he needs that hard work. And he needs to believe and know that he's working harder than everybody else. I think that's a very, very important thing for him. And right now, I think he knows that he's not. So those are my top 7 reasons. Again, I'll just summarize. Number 1, they both struggle to reach their potential. Number 2, they both have reached the top. They're both legends. Number 3 is they're often compared with their same level of play. Number 4 is Novak respects Andre. He knows Andre has the goods. He knows Andre is one of the best. Number 5 is they both have this spiritual journey that they need to go on, but they're both fierce competitors. Number 6 is Andre is a brutal. Sorry, guys. It is live TV. He is a brilliant tactician. And number 7 is they both respond well to hard work. And they both aren't always, working the hardest. But when they were, that's when they played their best tennis. So let me know what you think of this top 7 list. I really appreciate you. If you don't know me, my name is Peter Freeman. I'm an online tennis instructor. So besides weighing in on the pro tour with matches and opinions, I also love to teach people how to improve their serve, how to improve their forehand, their backhand. So I'm going to put some videos once this goes live on YouTube. It's live right now, but once it kind of lives there and we can have some clickable links at the end, you're going to see that you can choose from a couple of videos to watch. So make sure you check out my instruction, and it's really going to help you. So if you love tennis, you're going to love my channel. If you want to see more videos like this, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate your time today. And also, finally, put down your prediction. Who is going to win the French Open this year? All right, this is Pete signing off from this live broadcast.